keep us free from harm to body and soul. Lord, support us with your grace when we are tired. Help us be patient in any trouble which might come our way. Keep us always mindful of your presence and love. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And our pledge this evening is going to be, we're going to have help with from our Bay City Junior High students. If y'all want to come up, then you can start the pledge. Thank you all. I'll pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you all. We appreciate you. All right, so this meeting was posted. It's February 20th, 2024. We are in the Bay City ISD Administration Building, the H.J. McAllister building, but we did post this meeting to how it needed to be, as well as we have a quorum present. All right, next thing on our agenda is good news. Does anybody have any good news to share this evening? I'll know about that.
I've noticed a trend, and then I saw something today that reminded me, and I was like, I should say that tonight. But I know talking to people in the community, whenever people ask me about the district and everything, one of the things that I always mention is that we have so many opportunities at this district for our kids that other districts don't even come close to. And I think that was highlighted today by having one of the Houston Life Flights come to Bay City High School and let those kids have a hands-on experience with life by helicopter. I mean, how cool is that? You know, like to have those kinds of experiences that we're offering is just amazing. But it's not just, I don't want to just say them, because there's a lot of different groups that are doing amazing things that we see on, and Lee's doing a great job putting them on Facebook and stuff like that so we can get the word out. But it's been really cool to see in the last several months, year, or whatever, that the change and how all that's getting publicized. It's awesome.
I will say this past weekend, I had the privilege of sitting for the Aristocrat dance competition in Humboldt, and they did fantastic. So I just wanted to say thank you to the directors. I know the hours the girls put in. I know the high school, all of the things come together, and they did a great job. So I wanted to share that.
It's almost fair week. There's a lot of really hard work that the FFA projects at campus. We've got barbecue pits in our house, kids, and all that stuff. Looking forward to that. It's really good to get to this.
Does that start next? Is that
It's been ongoing. It's already started.
okay? The showing of animals is
Showing animals, that starts.
okay. Great. A lot of great things happening in the district.
I have one or two as well. First, I believe yes, it's National FFA Week, which is a big deal. And FFA is so much more than most people understand. We've been to the state convention. It's incredible. Everything from talent show to where my good news is actually. We are an LSG school district, which has everything to do with governance. That means the team of 8 here, when we're all together, we focus on student outcomes, and we're very transparent about our scores, about our goals, about teacher retention. And we put that out there at every meeting, just at some degree or another. But I'm excited to announce, and something I'm really proud to have at my second year in the district is we will be attending the governance camp this year with our students, and we'll have our first ever governance team of students, and they've got the same shirts like I'm wearing. So we're excited to welcome our governance team of high school students, and we'll bring them in and we'll have a celebration of excellence with them. But that's coming up early next month, but leave around this
Next Friday.
next Friday. So it's coming up quickly, and so that is huge, and we can't wait to have, as we talk about in Lone Star Governance, a two-way conversation with those student leaders and and gain their perspective on everything from the opportunities that we have in the district and things that they feel we should be focusing on long term. So it's a really great thing. Can't wait for you all to meet the team. And again, we will be at convention next week, and I look forward to a new tradition.
It's exciting. Great things happening. Anything else? All right, moving on down the agenda, celebration of excellence. We have some fun things happening tonight with our Girl Scouts. Come on up, girls. How are y'all this evening? Good afternoon. Hi.
Good to see you all.
So to add on to the good news, I'm presenting you my girls from troop 156083. And these are just a few of the girls that we have. And I just wanted to thank the school board for allowing us to be here tonight. My name is Giselle Munoz, and I'm the troop leader with Girl Scout Troop 156083, with students from Cherry, Lenny Roberts, and Tenny Holmes Elementaries, as well as Bay City Junior High. I would like to share some of my insight as a former Girl Scout. I was allowed many amazing experiences and opportunities to learn new skills. For instance, at the age of 9, I traveled to Savannah, Georgia to visit the birthplace of our founder, Juliette Gordon-Lowe, with multiple other girls from across Texas and around the world, while spending every summer of the age of 5 as a day camper all the way to 17 with a first aid certificate lifeguard training and having the honor of being the caller during flag ceremonies, all while holding an older girl leadership position. Now, as an adult, I want to instill those same values of character, self-esteem, and community into not only my daughter, but others as well. Girl Scouts help girls develop their full individual potential, relate to others with increasing understanding, skills, and respect, develop values to guide their actions and provide the foundation for sound decision making, and contribute to the improvement of society through their abilities, leadership skills, and cooperation with others. On behalf of all the Girl Scouts in Bay City, I would like to thank you for making Bay City Independent School District a place where girls can challenge themselves, be confident in who they are, and make our community and the world a better place for Girl Scouts. In honor of School Board Appreciation Month in January, we brought you each some Girl Scout cookies as a sweet little token of our appreciation for all of the Girl Scouts. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We'll get started.
I'll make sure. Yeah. Can we get a picture of the board?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
We want to burn our girls.
Okay, take a picture.
I'm gonna bring my girls back.
And if anybody has a peanut allergy, let me know. I'm just walking with these.
Okay, right here. Big smiles. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank y'all. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you, Girl Scouts. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all coming and those little treat.
Yes.
Do we have any audience and patrons this evening? Okay, moving right along, we will go straight into LSG. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
It's,
Good to see
it's good to be back, and I just have to echo Mark's sentiments too. You know, Bay City is really become a place where young people have opportunity. a lot more opportunity in many areas around. So you can be proud of that. It takes a lot of leadership to get that going. You know, the best way to understand how important leadership is to do that. Appreciate it. So congratulations on the accomplishments that you got. So to begin with, we'll look back at last month. And so we're going to consider the time tracker. I know you can't see that if you're looking at the screen, I'm sorry for that. But you have a time tracker in your folder that I gave you. And it kind of details last month's meeting. Last month was a 55-minute meeting. You had 47 of those minutes that were focused on student outcomes. That's 85.45% of the meeting. I was with the board last night doing board training, and I mentioned to them their time, that how improved it is, how far you've come and everything. And they're like, how do they spend 85% on student outcomes? And they said in our typical meeting, we spend about 1%.
Oh, gosh.
Well, maybe you remember the
We were
days
there.
when it was like that.
We've been there.
You know, I'm looking at your agenda tonight, you have no other items. You have a hearing on the paper report, that's separate. You have 10 items on consent, that's commendable. So you're really applying all the principles. When you looked at last month, there was 6 present, 1 absent, so 85.71% attendance. You had 5 items on the consent agenda last month, you have 10 tonight. That's really good, you managed to do that. And what it takes for that to happen is it takes concerted effort on all of your parts to be prepared. Because you don't just rubber stamp that stuff, you know what you're approving when you approve the consent agenda. And last month you had 1 goal, and it was on target, and you had 3 GPMs that you looked at. So it was really a stellar month, and I got to turn in your evaluation to TEA, and I got an email back that said you're supposed to be on the leaderboard. So they update that at the end of February, so I'll be checking that. If they don't update it, they'll be getting a phone call from me, and probably from Dr. Mack too. So congratulations on that, y'all have really applied yourselves. So tonight, the goal that we're looking at is goal 4, and that is 7th grade math. So the idea is when the leadership team looked at the data and kind of projected what they want to focus on for the next 5 years, one of the things that was just screaming at them was 7th grade math. And you look across the state, it's screaming at everybody. Okay, so it's not just BCISD, but it was a place that they wanted to shine a light, not bring a hammer, but a light, and try to help make things progress. So in line with that, the leadership team came up with 3 goal progress measures. And those goal progress measures are at 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And so what they're doing is they're using curriculum-based assessments to help evaluate how the kids are doing in the middle of the year. That's what outputs do, that's what goal progress measures do. Because what we're trying to do is prepare them for the test, which is going to come at the end of the year. And of course, we're not just teaching to the test. The STAR test is simply a way to evaluate if the students are learning the TEKS. And those are just the standards that they're supposed to be able to know or do. And so that's what it's all about. We're trying to help our students be prepared for college, career, or the military. That's what this is all about. And so tonight, for goal progress measure 4.1 and 4.2, we have Anna Flores. And then for 4.3, we have Rose Cummings, and they're going to present. They have a really nice additional presentation. I think it's going to even reach down into, when you look at our monitoring report, this is at Meets level, okay? But they're going to share additional information with you about how the kids did that didn't get to Meets, so that you can see that there really is progress being made. We hope that you'll ask plenty of questions. Anna?
Yes.
evening, everyone. So tonight, we will present in collaboration. Well, I will start my presentation, and then at some point in my presentation, Mrs. Spinoza will also come in to a little skill that we're very proud of. Stephanie will also jump in at a point in time. So like Mr. Tony Williams said earlier, Lone Star Governance focuses on meets and above. And as you can see, it will be the very first page in your new folder. I don't know how to start it. I just know that we're working very hard, and sometimes the data may tell us other things. Just know that we have an action plan in place that we are going to talk about, and that we are not just sitting back and just letting it take place. Like we're out there putting action plans and disaggregating our data on a daily basis and tweaking on a daily basis as we go as well, because we want our data to reflect the hard work that is currently going on. So for goals 4.1, the percentage of fourth grade students who score meets or above on a CBA in math will increase from 38% to 41% by August 2024. And so I presented our very first time back on November the 23rd, and then this will be the second time for February, and this was a CBA that we took back in December. So as you can see, our data for meets or above has gone down in fourth grade from 71 to 49, from 72 to 49, from 58 to 34, from 73 to 57, from 67 to 42, from 43 to 16, and then from 98 to 67. And so as I started off earlier, I want our data to reflect all the hard work that we're currently doing, that we've done since day one, and that we will continue to do. I'm just going to emphasize that this is meets and above. So I'll explain our action plan right after this. We move down to 4.2. We have the percentage of fifth grade students who score meets or above on a CBA in math will increase from 24% to 27% by August of 2024, and this is fifth grade meets or above. As you can see, our data in fifth grade is very consistent. Our math teachers in fifth grade, if you all can recall who those math teachers are, they come with a lot of experience in there as well. They're the ones that hold their hands on a day-to-day basis. They disaggregate their own data, they come up with their own action plans in comparison to fourth grade. That's our biggest, that's our largest grade level. We're currently at 280, an average of 285. 35 more students in comparison to the other grade levels, and it is the grade level where we hired more new teachers into. So then there's a lot of teaching and coaching in fourth grade that's currently being done. So in fifth grade, we are at from 52 to 56. From 55 to 59, from 23 to 34, from 58 to 59, from 43 to 50, from 52 to 49, and then from 64 to 63. So we have those two areas at the end, special ed and ELs, that went down by 1, 2, 3 percentage points, and that's where we're currently at for Lone Star Governance meets or above in fourth and fifth grade math. So because of where we're at in fourth grade, of course, we not only look at fourth grade, we constantly look at all the data. The second paper, the one right behind Lone Star Governance, this one you will see with green and red. This is the one where Mr. Williams went ahead and explained how we have taken it a step further because, not just because Mr. Starmine and Priscilla Robinson continuously ask me, well, where are we at? Like how many kids missed it by 1 or 2? Well, this is for masters, but where are we at in approaches? How does that picture look? Because you asked me, but also because we have to disaggregate the data and
make ourselves aware, okay, well, we're not there at Mix and Master, so then where are we at approaches? And how much green or red do we have? And so I have reading, third, fourth, and fifth on the left-hand side, and I have math, third, fourth, and fifth on the right-hand side. And this is how I pulled this data. So I took where we were at in the spring of 2023 at approaches in our STAR score. And then I took all of our CDAs and pulled them all out one by one. And where are we at in each one of our CDAs in comparison to how we scored in May with our STAR score. So our STAR scores, 2 CDAs, yes, that the approaches measure. And so anywhere that you see a green, we have either stayed at wherever, however we came out in May, or above. So for example, that very first chart that you see on the left top hand side, the percentage of third grade students who score approaches or above on a CDA in math will be at 52% or higher. THE spring of 2023 approaches 52. So then I went down to each one of those squares, and anywhere that we are at 52 or above is a green. Just keep in mind that we are in February. We currently have 6.5 weeks of instruction to go for our STAR reading test, which will take place April the 10th. And we have 8.5 weeks of instruction to go for our math STAR test, which will be the last week of April. Science is in between reading, fifth grade science is in between reading and math. So we still have 30 to 40 instructional days, depending on the content. I think we're very promising. Then we can continue going down where we have fourth grade at approaches. We were at 63 in May. And so again, anything in the green is at 63 or above. And as you can clearly and very evidently see in fourth grade math, we have 2 very obvious subpopulations that are highlighted in red, and those are African American and our STEM students. We are concentrating, we continue to concentrate in those areas. And then if we come down to fifth grade, at the very bottom left-hand side, we were at 64% in May of 2023, and is the grade level and the content area that you'll see the least amount of red. And I talked about the math teachers in fifth grade earlier. They are strongest, if not one of the strongest content creators in the campus. The reading is on the right-hand side, and reading third grade was at 51% back in May, and also African American and special ed we need to focus on, but we still have a lot of green areas. Fourth grade reading, we were at 62% in May. Again, we need to focus. Fourth grade, our largest grade level, lots of coaching and teaching to do in fourth grade, but we are most definitely targeting that. Then we have fifth grade reading at 67%, and it is an area that we have to focus on as well right now. We did have a teacher before the year fifth grade. And then we had some teachers in fourth grade, so we had to replace them here. So the grade looks very promising. It's just a draw to think of. Then I have the next paper on there. It's the one that says one goal, one team. These are just current for additional support that we have added after our benchmark. We took our benchmark in January when we put out 3 and 4 of January. And based on that data, then we received additional support. I would like to add that right after this data, tested reading one week and math following week, and we had not even started testing math. All I did was finish our reading data, and we were meeting already like what we wanted to do, and in what areas, and with what teachers, and who are we gonna hire, and start, recruiting people, not once. Again, I will always reiterate how I would induct I called him, we called the meeting immediately that day. Chris was in there, lots of support, Jordan and Lee as well. I mean, I've never felt, ever. I just call and they're there to provide support. Of course, we problem solve, like I know this person, I know that person, we can reach out to, little things that we're always constantly problem solving, but there's a lot of support. So, interventions as an extra time, we still have prime time where the kids continue to work on Lexia and IXL. We have small groups that the teachers continue to do half time. We have after school tutoring that started right after the benchmark, 4 times a week. Then we have Saturday school. We're at an average of 2 Saturdays a month. And right next to that, I have interventions provided by our district instructional facilitators, and our district facilitators have now been focused at teen homes, and so they are also pulling small groups at least 3 times a week. They're providing co-teaching, even our EB instructional facilitator, she pulls kids for our TELPAS practice, and she has the next for our EB students. Then of course we have hired extra tutors 3 to 4 times a week, and we have evenly distributed those tutors among the areas that need most improvement. So we have reading tutors, we have math tutors, 5 tutors per moment. Providing extra instructional assistant 3 times a week.
The only thing really that I would add is, one of the things that I get the privilege of doing is working in the PLC process on our campus. And as Mrs. Flores has said, immediately we start to problem solve and she goes right to work, and I'm able to drill down. You see the overall product, but we're really able to drill down and look at the missed teaks, the most tested teaks, and really work with our teachers. I'm excited that Alyssa is going to be sharing. She's one of our new teachers, and just the work that she's done in this first year with her team and the collaboration through that PLC process, we can really see where the students are missing it, where our teachers, where can we make those gains. So when we bring those tutors in, or we bring the instructional facilitators, we really have a good plan of knowing where the work should be done, what teaks, what things should we be filling in for the students, so they have a larger picture of what they're doing in that small group, which really helps all of our students get that small group instruction to be successful as they move forward. So I'm excited that you're gonna hear Ms. Espinosa's.
So right after we took our benchmark, one of our goals all year long has been to teach and coach the teachers up on how to disaggregate data, not just, oh, I'm at 57% in this area, and that's it. Well, no, why aren't you at 57% in this area? What are we going to do about it? So we look at every single little Johnny. And so Mrs. Espinosa is the perfect example of how that looks like. So she will be presenting and talking to you all about her plan. She's a first year teacher for her.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thanks for coming.
Alright, so hello, my name is Melissa Espinosa, and I'm a first year third grade math teacher at St. Holmes. So after the third grade math benchmark, which was a few weeks ago, I was able to use my data to create a plan to help all my students grow and succeed with the help of collaborating with my third grade team. I dug into my data and really gained an understanding of how to use benchmark and resources to help my students. So I'm new. Like I said, I'm in the first year, third grade. So what I did was, with the help, I had another teacher, my third grade to help me with, my first step was to look at all the highly tested teams on lead forward. So I went to lead forward, I just want to show y'all, this makes me happy. And I looked at all the highly tested tests, like all the ones that, were the most frequently asked on our STAR test. And whenever I did that, I also printed out all my data from DNAP for the recent benchmark that my students took. And I used the highly most tested tests on E4 to compare that to my benchmark data to find the tests that my classes perform the lowest on. I was able to take the graph from DMAP, so I got this graph from DMAP, and I have a lot of my writing, and I'm excited about it. And I just put all my teats down, and I put what the teats were, and then I also searched on this graph, the teats that were asked more than once, if it was area, it was asked more than once. Why was it asked more than once? The questions may have been different. So I was able to take the graph from DMAP and determine which questions were labeled. And the same teat, let me know, even though the question was testing the same teat, it could have been asked different ways, like you just said. And then this helped me narrow down what I needed to reteach in small and whole group lessons for my students. I am able to use the most overall teach for my entire class to create a spiraling review and able to pull small groups based on the data and pull resources for those specific teach to meet the needs of all of my students. So I just dug a little deeper with the help of my third-grade team, and it's just very interesting, all the data that I found. And now, right now, what I'm doing, particularly in my class, I'm just focused on the teachers that are going to be mostly asked, and then which of those teachers were the lowest on my class, and how I can pull specific teachers, whether it's my car reviews and small groups, and how I can just put my focus on those particular teachers to improve my students, to just get them up there where they need to be. Yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was interesting and fun, and I'm glad that I've done this, and I'm so excited to have done it to just help my students, help all our students to be successful with our STAR testing. And
Questions?
Just real quick, Ms. Espinosa, I wanted to thank you for presenting, and I want you to know every time that I've been on that campus, I've observed your energy. One day it was the parade y'all were having, and your energy is so evident. And you actually segued into one of my comments that I'll make when you talked about the spiraling piece in your curriculum. So that is huge. Thank you for the energy. There's a tidal wave of energy there on that campus, and I know you guys are committed to that, and I'm so proud of the work that's being done there. All of you that came on to join the team, we're excited to have you in the first year, and really just the complete energy you brought to that campus. You came in as a cohort, and you guys are making a difference, so I'm so proud of all of you. Thank you for your positive energy. And I will add, before we get to questions, a few things, and no kidding, right off Ms. Espinosa's presentation. So the part that I wanted to mention here is, remember, this is not drill and kill. This is not release tests over testing. These are CBAs, content-based assessments, okay? Thank you for the transparency. That's what we do here. I know that in our questions, rightfully so, there's some concerns here that we want to get to. I'm also looking at the same time, what our system is, the curriculum is, right? And so it is not a release test of every single thing, a release STAR test. We don't do that. So some of you may have some PTSD when I read this to you. I'm not kidding. So before we get there, let's look at the curriculum piece. Let's look at where the first benchmark occurred, CPA, and where this CPA occurred. You ready? That first one, you can look at your notes. Some of the topics that I see here are whole numbers and decimals. I did okay at that. I don't know how y'all did. That wasn't the best, but I did okay. The second half of that test probably introduced a little bit about multiplication, some division. But guess where we get right before this test? Our favorite word, fractions. And so we do not minimize any concern. Concerns are serious, and concerns, and I can share a little bit more about Ms. Flores and her action plan, and that is all true. She called us immediately. We called the meeting. The stakeholders that were mentioned, of course, Jordan Lee and Chris were there, Mr. Townsend, and we put our heads together on this. But the way this works, and Ms. Espinosa said it, this is an opportunity for spiral. It's like, how did you drop in scores? Well, it wasn't the same content. You see what I'm saying? It was fractions. That's not an excuse. That is a amplification of something that is a real concern throughout Texas. And I'm not even kidding about my prior experience with fractions. It was always difficult. So again, that is not, the transparency was the report of the numbers. The other part of the curriculum and getting into this is we've now identified what needs to be spiraled. You can plow through a curriculum and you just keep going. But what you heard from Ms. Espinosa is you don't keep going. You add some spiraling activities and fractions are going to take some more time. So now let's talk a little bit more. You covered it so eloquently. You covered everything, but I thought it was wonderful. You picked up the phone immediately. You were very flexible in the staffing and started moving people around. Ms. Rodriguez, you took on some extra duties as well, so thank you for that. As if you didn't have enough to do already, I know that you stepped up your game there. I know Mr. Townsend did some great work on instructional coaching and facilitating and adding more adults to the equation based on staffing patterns. So it's a full court press. And absolutely, there are things that need to be addressed, right? Because it's fractions and that's everywhere. That's not unique to anyone. We're just going to roll up our sleeves and I say, God, no, you've already rolled up your sleeves. You talked about the Saturdays. It's an area of concern. It's an area of focus. And I just wanted to share the curriculum piece because it is not a release test. It's a specific area in the curriculum that is super tough. So, sorry, I just wanted to share that real quick.
I'll ask a question at the risk of constantly asking where we're at. No, I have no issues with the numbers going down because it's different content and it's all already above where we're supposed to. So we're supposed to go from 38 to 41. We went from 71 to 49. So we're actually still above 41. So I guess really it's, and Tony, maybe it's a question for you. It's hard to track progress through the year because all we're doing is looking at this set of curriculum and then this set of curriculum and then this set of curriculum. Now the end goal is that goal forward is we move from 22 to 38. I think we'll achieve that based on what you've shown us. You know,
What's exciting is that, you know, this
yeah.
additional sheet she gave you, she's looking back to last year.
Yeah.
And she's comparing last year's numbers to this.
So I think
year's numbers.
freaking out over these numbers isn't an issue. I mean, this is fine. These are all really good. I'll be interested to see how they do on their stuff.
Yes.
My question is, what did we test it? How did were the fourth grade scores inflated at the first assessment? And then we have fractions at this time. So what's the difference? Because they were a lot higher at the beginning of the year.
It's the content.
It's definitely the content, because in the beginning they're doing place value, and that's an easier concept for students. And then when they get to fractions, in our curriculum as well, in our pacing guide, fractions come back around the second semester, so they get a second portion of the fraction. So even the curriculum reflects it. It's a harder team.
Okay. That's important to understand.
I know last year we did the NWEA map, and the discussion was amongst, I'm not sure, but to switch to CBA. Why did we switch? Number one, what is the difference, and then why did we make that switch if it's not and I know we're testing content area, and I know that's what they do at the junior high, so I don't know if we were trying to align that portion of it for LSG or what the.
So we're, of course, you know, being all tested from here on out, right? So then the best mentality would be to streamline whatever we can from here all the way to 12th grade, right? 1, 2, maps testing does not directly correlate with our teams. So in our STAR test, we have approaches, which has now been broken out to low approaches and high approaches. We have needs and we have masters. Maps has 5 other different sections that we had to use a formula to then plug into the way we would get our scores to see how our ranges then correlated to the max ranges, correlated to the way TA scores the STAR test, and we were still off. So we were presenting feedback, which is not directly correlated with how teachers scores our STAR test. And so again, with the transparency, like why would I come up here and present something that I'm hoping is our ranges are gonna correlate at 100%, each range would correlate at 100%, and it still was not. Like it was off by 12%.
Well, and I think too, one of the big things is we found that the integrity of teaching and learning was not being represented with that assessment. Because you're not testing what's being taught, you know what I mean? And so it really had no value to the teacher to be able to improve instruction for that student. Here, we're actually assessing what they've been taught. We identify as they are, where the weaknesses are, able to spiral back around. To me, that's a more meaningful cycle of teaching and learning.
Very intentional.
Now, there's a place for the maps,
Right.
but it's not for what we're trying to do.
Right.
And I think that was really a golden opportunity and timely for us to retool this LSG and what we were doing, so that what we're doing is actually achieving, because the whole point of HB3 is to prepare students to be successful in literacy and math in the 3rd grade and beyond. So just adding to that.
So we are no longer taking a test just to take a test,
Right.
that is not correlated to TEKS. Every single test that we take at Christian homes is very intentional. The dates where they are being placed within our pacing guides are very intentional, and the amount of time being spent on the test is also very intentional. And I do not let them go over a certain amount of time because, oh, well, they're just taking longer to test. No, it's like the students need to know from the very beginning, this is the amount of time, this is the amount of days that we can spend on it. Time the questions, set a timer, they have to be looking at the timer. It's not, I mean, I don't want it to be a stressor, you know, but all our tests and our timing is very intentional. And then we have the 72-hour window where we have to turn it around and disaggregate that. So it's very intentional.
What's your attendance like after schools and Saturdays?
So I open it up to a possibility of 100 students can show up. If more show up, they can show up. The least amount of students that we have shown up is 60. For after school, I'm gonna say about 8 students per teacher that stay.
Did you say Mr. Brooks worked his way to attending homes to see if he can help increase that number? I know it's new, but I think he was starting with the higher grades.
We'll hear from them. It's a full court press there as well.
Okay.
So we'll actually, and if you want to chime in now, I know Mr. Brooks, you're covering a lot of grounds as well. We got some great information coming up, but you guys are K-12.
Right. And at this point in time, Ms. Patricia Flores has been supporting as much as she possibly can, reaching out to parents, letting them know that this is going on so that they can get their students and their kids involved. So we are reaching out and adding as much support as we possibly can. If there's more to do, then we're definitely willing to jump on board.
Did you say 60? What's your lowest?
Mm-hmm.
Then I remember one day last semester they were taking a benchmark and the website they used for it was having issues and it delayed the start.
The interim test.
It was an interim one. Okay, it wasn't a full. Okay. Because I noticed that a lot of the 913s weren't good, so I was like, I wonder if that was because of that.
I know letter grades aren't necessarily as important to your grade level, but when we're testing them with CBAs, are they getting a letter grade and a numeric grade for these CBAs?
A numeric grade.
So if they bomb it because they haven't learned the material, they're getting a big fat 50 in the grade book for it.
So the passing standards that we have in DMAC are mirror TA's passing standards. So let's say passing standard for 3rd grade reading is a 31%, correct? Then we create our own rubric. Yes, so that 31, since it's passing under TA, then becomes our 70 under grade.
So,
Yes,
if my girl come home, it's like, I did this, but really it was this, and, you know, like, they get all excited about it.
so we do a conversion table for the grade in.
So looking at the data that you gave for the approaches. There's a lot in that fourth grade group. There's a lot of, obviously the African Americans. So what is being done with them, with the special ed, what's happening in those people groups to ensure that we're making progress and we're moving forward?
So we have hired an additional SPED para to provide the special education minutes and make sure that we have if they're going into those high need areas. I've moved some people around and we have a virtual SPED inclusion teacher. So we are using our SPED virtual teacher to focus only on arts, so that the face-to-face teachers that show up on our daily basis are the ones that go and service the students in class. So we had to move some people around to make sure that everyone was getting the minutes and the services. So we're doing that now. I was shorting their profile, but those kids get invited as well, and now with additional 5 tutors, they are focusing on
And then as far as, I know you're saying that y'all are pulling more small groups, doing Alexia, Excel after school. When you're pulling those students, you're also obviously pulling students that are high needs in that specific, maybe it was fractions or whatever that looks like. But the person that is with them, whether that be a para, whether that be a classroom teacher, what are they using to teach? Are they coming up with their own stuff, or are they given something? What are they using?
We give them the lessons based on what the data told us that we were low on. They come and they pick up the packet that they're going to use or the lesson that they're going to use for that week from Stephanie in the Manila folder, and then they just make their copies. So this lesson then correlates to the teams that we scored low on based on our benchmark data. Also, based on our benchmark data, that's how we grouped these little Johnnies this week are going to be seen by this tutor because this is the team that they need. All our 5 tutors are highly qualified teachers already. They're all graduate, they all have a degree, they all qualify. For whatever reason, they're either retired, they're taking some time off, you know, they're running a business on the side, but all 5 of them are highly qualified. I don't have, like, I didn't hire parents to come in and do these small groups that we pulled the benchmark data from. It's all from
So when they're like in the math that they're teaching them, it's math, you can do it to be 100 different ways to come up with the problem. It all gotta be, is it this way, is the way it is, and that's it, or are they trying to show them different ways also? I know I struggle with my older kids back in that area. I'm like, you doing it like this? Like, no, we gotta use this blocks here. I'm like, well, then now you're doing, to me, now you're doing simple algebra. Are we teaching
So
algebra?
Chris and I were actually having this conversation last week on Friday. I was at the secondary level for 21 years. I've never been in elementary to New Home since the very first time that I'm ever at an elementary. And I have come, based on my observations, and when I pulled data, I've come to the conclusion that these little Johnnies that we've grouped, or when I'm looking at their data, what they need are the simple foundations of math, like how do I multiply? How do I pair these numbers and group them all so that I can add, you know, and they're not crooked right here? How do I line up the decimal? It's very simple math. They're minute mistakes that they are missing. Or they get very impatient when reading the word problems. And so we need to show them how to read those word problems and look for keywords that will then help them set up the math problem on the side. It's not a simple algebra or, yeah, it's not. It's interesting. Very simple things there.
I feel you, Felix. I had to reteach long division because my son started drawing lines. in
Yes.
class. Yeah.
And they get very impatient and they just don't want to finish it, like, they get frustrated. So, our small groups are no larger than 6. 6 is the most that they go, six students is the most.
So looking back historically at data, when I saw this, you can imagine what's happening. So I looked back in this group of 4th graders, looking back at 3rd grade, there's a pattern. So I guess it may be a question for you as well, is we're seeing this pattern with the same group of students. And I know we're full court pressing come January, but why not with this group of students full court press year round? Because of what we have seen 3rd grade, now we're in 4th grade and seeing it in 4th grade, we're gonna go to 5th grade, are we gonna see it in 5th grade? Does that make to where we're really trying to teach those things? We're backloading because they did miss. They missed a lot of foundational learning that needed to happen that now we're seeing it wasn't there, so we're having to pull small groups. So is that something that's been discussed? What is?
We would have pulled small groups around this time anyway with any grade level, but with that specific target, that grade level, if you look at the first benchmark, why didn't we pull people off other jobs and all that? Because the data didn't tell us that we were there yet. So we went based on data. And when I say full court press, we have the best teachers in the room. The way every other campus is set up, complete 100% full court press. There was nothing lacking there. Instructional coaches, support, all that was in place. But when we got this data, we even added more. Yeah, it would. The amount of people that had to move around, we would have to go back to hiring a lot of more people as far as for the whole year. But the data didn't say that. The data said we've got a trouble area in the curriculum. It didn't say, for instance, we have an instructional coach assigned to a 4th grade teacher. We added that based on the data. Based on the first benchmark, we wouldn't have based on the data. So as far as the full court press, I think absolutely full court press. I'm saying added intervention, which is a complete different topic than full court press. It's not like we said, hey, I hope you guys do well. You know, it's like, okay, we're on target. That's what the data says, we're on target. Then as soon as we saw this next one, but we have to look at the curriculum and say, well, yeah, you know, there's issues there, but I would say there's a full court press from day one. And when we say about intervention, now that's when the data says, pull people out of their job, stop. We stop people from doing their jobs. They're not able to, or they're doing double work. That's my definition of full court press. We literally took them out of their jobs and said, now this is your job. And so that's a whole different ballgame when you start taking people off their job. And I'm sure there's other campuses that would say, you know, where's all my people? You know, but this is based on data. So those are people who were doing other jobs who pulled off their jobs to assist. That's what I meant by full court press. But for day one, recruiting on that campus and the experience of the teachers, I mean, we've seen that here. That was day one. So I would not in any way characterize it as not full court press on day one. I would characterize as added intervention based on data.
So I guess my question then goes to, as a classroom teacher, did they see this coming? Because they're right, you're doing dips. And this is an end, okay, do we understand, but what was their data marks in between when they're teaching and doing their little checks? Teaching, I taught reading. So I'm walking around and listening to students read. Oh, little Johnny is really struggling. Let me pull him into a small group. That type of thing. Or is this a surprise to everyone when you come back in December? We're like, whoa, what's happening?
So I think the amount of that we have over the year has
And when was this test given? This one.
In December.
So they left after the test?
I had 1 week before and 2 right when we came back from Japan.
So the results of the pulmonum and doing this all this intervention, are we not gonna know the results of it until STAR test, or we have something before that to?
So I actually have ILT with the teacher leaders next week, and that's the first topic on my agenda. A second benchmark is not, however, of course, I'm gonna get their input, but my recommendation would be in class over a period of 2 days, instead of shutting the entire campus down. Because that just seems to put a lot of stress on the entire campus and teachers. And once I open up that conversation, then I will get their input and we will problem solve from there. But do I want another checkpoint? Yes, a full blown checkpoint.
Just ended for 6 weeks, correct? So
Yes, we just ended it 6 weeks, and our last CBAs were last week. We will start telepass testing this week and next week, and then after that, we're going to Starblitz for the next 6 weeks, and we will review all of our curriculum with spiraling our realistics in there. And then just every week, there will be a weekly assessment based on the Starblitz that week. However, I really want the full checkpoint of benchmark.
So, well, and I think the important part there though is the question was, are we just waiting for STAR? No, we just had another test and just finished, just now, like just now. So there's more data just now. And so the big difference is when we come together for LSG. So that's something we can definitely bring to y'all as data, whether it's a newsletter or a curriculum committee meeting. But again, I want to make sure I understood the question. The question is, are we waiting for STAR? No, there's another set of data that we just finished. Like new material.
Yes.
New material, and then the spiraling needs to be added in through the tutoring. And are you saying you'd like to see some data on
Like
spiraling?
Like we brought up fraction, you know, yeah, so the spiraling for it. Don't wanna come back at the start test to find out we were unsuccessful, but at the same time, I know we don't wanna overwhelm the students with all this testing, but I got some kind of checkpoint to know that we are getting this.
And so we took that test in December, but we also just finished a benchmark in that tested again the fractions. So what we're able to do is pull out the TEKs that have already been tested on CBAs and look individually at those TEKs to see this is where they were on CBA 4, this is where they are on benchmark, how are they doing? So they take a release STAR test, but then there are questions on there they haven't finished out yet. So we do sit down with teachers, I sit down with them, and we go over all the things. That is what they want to know. How did they do on this specific, say, fractions? It's tested in December, we just finished it up. So how did they do? And so there are other checkpoints that are built in. It's not just those 2 tests that you see on the data on fractions. Teachers are doing their spiraling reviews. They are doing those assessments daily, every single day. Every teacher has a math warm-up that includes all of those highly tested TEKs that also are lowest performing. So they are looking at those things and planning those things in their PLC to make sure that it doesn't fall through the cracks. It's not a one and done, and then, wow, we didn't know the fractions were so bad. It is an ongoing process for the students.
Ms. Rodriguez, am I correct in the thought process? We don't need another test. We can have formative evaluation, exit tickets, warm-ups, like you're saying.
Correct.
To check that progress without going full bore. You didn't do good, let's treat the cold with a thermometer and just keep
Absolutely.
testing you. And by no means is that what anyone is saying here, but I just wanted to clarify that
No,
would be my
absolutely, and
understanding.
our teachers are already planning, like, take for example, our 5th grade math team, and they're already planning on, because normally we do have 2 benchmarks, but because we had the interim in the fall, it's just a lot for 35 to put them through all of this testing. Plus, we had the field tests for our 4th graders, so they have now taken a benchmark, a STAR, and another STAR, which was the interim, so it's a lot. So the decision was made with all the teams involved not to take a second benchmark. And so they are planning, they're spiraling back to those teams, and their idea is that they're doing 10 questions each week that go towards the data of that spiral review, say we're just gonna keep using fractions. And so they fill in their data of this week, this is where they were on fractions. This week, we focus on this and this is where they were. Do we need to keep going with that same team, or can we move on and just spiral sporadically throughout the week? So there are those kinds of plans as well, that they get those weekly solidified checkpoints and everybody's doing the same assessment, those 10 questions, so they can all talk about it. They can know what to plan for the next week. And so those kinds of conversations, knowing that there's not a second benchmark, because they like to see the growth from one benchmark to another. But again, because of the testing, it just didn't lend itself, but they are working towards finding those ways to make sure and ensure that all of the teams are spiraled and that we're not held by surprise, especially the ones that are traditionally the lowest scoring teams with the star blitz as well, that we'll be getting ready to do after spring break.
Thank you for emphasizing the spiraling, because that is the key component. Like you said,
Absolutely.
versus more testing, spiral it in. You said 10 purposeful questions. We're not leaving it behind. That's very comforting to know. So.
And I think that's what those dips, like the teachers need to be checking and not just waiting for a test to come across their desk to say, oh no, little Johnny got a 20 and he understands nothing. No teacher should have known, because little Johnny was not doing well on his little dips throughout the week of, oh no, Friday, and little Johnny's still showing a 20, but his understanding all week long was not there, so this is not a surprise. So that's, I think, my biggest thing is a lot of these scores, I'm like, was this seen coming from the teachers? Did they sit, and I know a lot has been talked about third grade, you did a great job. I think you spending the time that you did disaggregating your data is fantastic. Fifth grade has been referred to a lot, but the fourth grade teaching staff is not. So is it happening in fourth grade as well? I know it's happening in third grade. I hear it's happening in fifth grade, but fourth grade is where the focus is for this goal, and where we're seeing the lag. And so ensuring that fourth grade is also doing all of the same things to ensure success for their students, I think is huge. Are there any other questions?
I have a few. Just some clarifications. So we mentioned the term spiraling. Anna, can you just quickly kind of explain what is spiraling? If they learned about place value in the first part of the year, do they ever see it again?
So let's go back to fractions, because it just is a hot topic. And so fractions can be tested, let's say, 3 or 4 different ways, right? And so out of those 3 or 4 different ways, there were 2 specific questions on how it's being tested that the kids scored really low on. Like they knew number 1 and they knew number 4, but the way it's being tested on number 2 and number 3, like we just don't understand it. So then next week, before we start the unit, instead of confusing them when I throw the fraction in there, before we start the unit, instead I'm going to do a warm-up on how number 2 can be answered and how it was tested, so we're gonna do a small activity on how number 2 is being asked in the STAR test. We did it, we did that dip right there. Tuesday comes along, before we start the lesson, I'm gonna spiral in the way number 3 under fractions was asked. Did they understand it? Yes, no, can I believe? No, they didn't. So then on Wednesday, I'm gonna do another example of number 3 and how that was tested and asked, and until we see a certain percentage of mastery from my students, then that gives me the okay of I'm gonna start backing off on the way number 3 is tested because I see a mastery here. So then let's say on Friday, we're gonna have our weekly, or the following week, we'll have our bi-weekly assessment. I'm gonna throw a question on how number 2 and number 3 were tested, because we've been focusing on spiraling 2 and number 3 in the test, besides what the unit was already about. Then I'm gonna look at my data, well, how did my Johnnies come out in number 2 and 3, you know? If it's at a percentage of mastery, then that means that I can move on, and the next time I start the next unit, I can back off on the fractions, or I can just throw a surprise, another surprise in there and they do. Until I see that level of mastery that I need to as a teacher, that makes me feel comfortable. The state is telling us we need it at 70% in order to show mastery.
That concept is, thank you for explaining it like that. One other question that I got about exit ticket. Tell me quickly, briefly, what's an exit ticket and where do they appear? How often do they appear?
Exit tickets can appear either at the beginning of the period of the lesson or at the end. Sometimes we start the lesson and it's in transition time, or it's not like at the secondary level, okay, every period starts at a certain time, so this is my warm-up or this is my exit right before the bell. At the elementary is very different because we have blocks sometimes, then we have transition times where we're coming and going. And so that exit ticket you can put it wherever you want to within the lesson.
And its purpose?
Its purpose is to do those checkpoints. That exit ticket can also be how I'm gonna spiral fractions or anything else. Okay, we're gonna stop what we're doing, we're gonna do this exit ticket, you collect it, you grade it. It can either be a written form like this, or you can do a Google form, or it's automatically graded.
So we used to call it pop test.
Yes.
Very good. Once a month, once every 6 weeks, once a day.
Yes.
How often?
It depends on how your class is doing on fractions. How often do I want to do it? How much do I want to press into that particular teak, or do I back off now and choose a different teak so that I can now press on that?
Okay, now the teacher mentioned a couple of terms that I want to make sure they understand. She said she went to lead forwards.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, what's that? What's lead forward?
Okay, so lead forward is to the teachers is a website. To principals, Stephanie and myself, we continuously participate in the John Fessenden webinars that he offers twice a month with the most updated data that the state has pushed out. You know, this is how you're now going to read this data. This is the manual that just came out last week on the 15th. And so John will teach us how to read this new data, right? The new accountability data for the new test, the new account data, the new accountability.
So she also.
So for us, we participate with John. For the teachers, they go to the website that I've requested that it just be a bookmark in the laptop. And so you click on Lead Forward and it will give you all of the tools that you need as a teacher and free resources on the TEACs. How many times is TEAC X tested in the past 5 years? So it'll show you, you know, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and TEAC X was tested 5 times here, 6 times there, 7 times there. And so this gives you a really good guide as a teacher. I really need to focus on fractions because it was tested 29 times in the last 5 years versus geometry. I think I looked at this morning and it had been tested 12 times. And so that gives me as a teacher a really good guide on what to focus on. It's going to give you a specific TEAC. Then you click on something else and it's going to give you all of the released questions for fractions and all the different types that it can be tested. Because it's not just tested in one way, it's tested multiple ways. So then our teachers get very specific question types that have been used by the state that they can then spiral in as an exit ticket. You just print that out and it becomes your exit ticket or your warm-up. Okay, so let's put it under the projector, let's work it together. How are we gonna do this here? And it was a released question. It's not a test, it was a released question, just a snippet of the released question. Let's say it says number 17. Okay, we're gonna do number 17, that's all you get. And they work it out together and that can be your spiral. If you want to create more questions, for those of us that are good at math and the numbers, all you do is change the numbers in the question and so you can create another question.
Awesome. So is fourth grade doing completely different things than the other grade levels with the spiraling and with data analysis, or are they doing the same thing?
And lean forward, I've got it on my phone. The app
Yes,
I can use,
there is
so you
an
can gather that data, so it's a tremendous resource for us. Now, they also mentioned PLCs, and I think you probably understand that's a professional learning community. That's where teachers get together and plan together and review data and execute interventions together. So Ms. Rodriguez explained that. And then DMAC is like a data warehouse, right? And so that's where all that state data gets uploaded, and district data, and that's where it's a tool that they can use.
Yes, it's our platform that the district uses to house all our testing data, and break our testing data down into subpopulations. So depending on the test, the date, so you will pick in and hit submit, and it will pull the report out for 6 weeks one, CBA2 for reading, third grade, and that's how we decide the date for data. You pick on by demographics, and so the report is gonna come out by demographics, all Hispanics, whites, African American, SPED, left, denials, and so we go down the percentages. If we want it by student, and it's gonna give us a list of all the students in third grade. I do want to add that PLC revolves around 4 questions. Those 4 questions have to do with the practices that the teachers do in class, and it's driven by data. So we're going to get together and we're going to talk about our practices based on what the data is showing us. And if the data is not showing us what we wanted to show us, then what are we going to do next? And that's where the action plan is.
If this was football, it would be the coaches on Saturday looking at game.
Yes.
Okay.
Or band, then the kids do their isolated soundproof rooms with their band director, and that's what sessionals are for, small group.
Thank you for your staff saying that for
Yes.
school. Thank you for Saturdays. Thank you for the data, disaggregation. We know that 4th grade is a big deal, and for a lot of reasons, it was a perfect storm. So thank you for the meetings, and Mr. Townsend, thank you for the flexibility and adding the support based on the data we received in real time, and really trying to do that. And I know there's a lot of effort that's going on there. So definitely appreciate it.
We did have a family community engagement event that happened in February. We had our Black History Month concert that was took place by our 4th grade teachers and our wonderful music teacher, Miss Nikki Brooks. I don't believe we will have anything in March, but in April, on April 5th, we will have our sneaker ball. It's a Friday from 5:30 to 8. So that's gonna be our next family meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
I tell you what, I wish I had this whole bit of videotape, because that was an awesome report from all of you and board. Good work, because you're monitoring, you're doing your job, and that's what LSU is all about. So thank you all, and great interpretation. This is where progress happens. This is where expectations are set. And thank you for the call. First year teacher, my goodness.
Yes.
That's fantastic. You're doing
Bay
great.
City Drive, right?
Oh, fantastic. So, Mrs. Cummings is going to follow with 4.3.
Okay, so goal 4.3 is percentage of 6th grade students who score weeks or above on a curriculum CDA. The now will increase from 24% in September of 2023 to 27% of 2024. What I included for you, we have a couple things in the packet. The first one is the one that has a bar graph on it. So I have the data from the LSU goals at the top. In November, when we reported, our overall percentage was at 27%, weeks or above. In February, it was, the CBA that we used was 35%. Hispanic went from 26 to 36, African American 21 to 23, 2 or more races 40 to 33. White 37 to 42, economically disadvantaged 22 to 29. SPED 11 to 33, and yellow 15, and state 15%. One of the things that I did on here, because I just started asking last time, was I know we target certain CBAs throughout the year. That you brought up the question of what the CBAs look like for all. So what you see on that bar graph below are all the CBAs up until I think it's January. So that goes on the right hand side of the paper was the first one at the very beginning of the year. The third one that has the asterisk, that's the one that was reported in November. And then we have 4th, 5th, and then we have our semester exam. I included that as well too. And then our most recent one, which is in 6th, which is the one that reported here in February. So the goal is at 27% meets or above. So for every single CBA that we've had so far, we've accomplished either 27% or higher. What I did include in there for you as well too is the approaches. That's the approaches or above. So you can see where that is at percentage, and also the masters as well too. So those are those 3 bar graphs for each CBA. I forgot to introduce you real quick too. I do have my 6th grade math team here as well this evening. I have Miss Samora and Miss Ebanks Nichols. There are 2 6th grade math teachers, so they've been putting in a lot of hard work with 6th grade from the beginning of the year. And I also have Miss Ortiz, 6th grade assistant principal as well too. That's how I'm going to give you the full picture of what our unit assessments are. So yes, it do fluctuate based on the unit, but we've been able to maintain the 27% each CBA. So they've been working really hard to get that meets and above. The things that they've done to accomplish this, we have our vertical content teams that we have once a week with them. The 6th grade team, we meet twice a week. In addition to that, so Ms. Zamora, Ms. Ebanks, and myself, we meet and work on that, and also with Region 3, my tail coach when she comes out. She also works with 6th grade math as well. During Panther time, they've taken it to where they've taken all their kids and targeted, so every day they have a certain group that they work with, a group on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, through Friday, that they're working with their kids. Saturday Academy, Ms. Ortiz is here at Saturday Academy, so she works with TELPAS, students getting ready for TELPAS on it, and our ELLs. And also Ms. Zamora and Ms. Ebanks have personally emailed parents with it and let their kids know they need to be there for Saturday school. They make phone calls as well too. You don't average as high as 60, we get about 30, 35 for Saturday school, but the majority are 6th grade students that attend it. The additional documents that you have in your folder that I want to share with you is one of the resources that we have this year that is new to us, but has been very beneficial to us, is iExcel. And it's a program that is not just for intervention, it's also for enrichment as well too. So a couple of things that they've used to in their, when they're working with kids, intervention and also with the enrichment of the kids. These are 2 action plans that the student A and student B, so there are. They do diagnostics, and they do it at the beginning of the year, and they do it throughout the year. And based on the different areas that they work on in 6th grade math, it will let the teachers know and students know as well too where they perform. So when you're looking at this, so the first one, student A, says 6 times. This student overall for math is at the tail end of a 6th grade math level, so close to 7th grade math. So for this particular student, what it does in like numbers and operations, this kiddo is performing at 8th grade level. So it is assigning them skill sets based on 7th and 8th grade to continue to push this kiddo and keep them moving forward. But if you look at algebra and 9th grade thinking, it's on 7th grade, so it's looking 6th and 7th grade. But for this particular student, if you turn the page, you get to geometry, they're on a middle of 4th grade level. So it focuses on where they need that additional support. So it's recommending the skills that are at 4th grade level to help them basically fill in the gaps where they need to have that gap filled in. Because one of the things with 6th grade is a lot of new cheats. They are constantly trying to keep up with the new cheats. They don't have a lot of time to go back and reteach where they're missing the gaps. This helps them out with it. So this is student A is a student that's on the higher part of the grade level. If you look at student B is on the lower end. just below grade level. So this student is at fourth grade, the tail end of fourth grade. But you can see it breaks it down, so like numbers and out and operations, the kid is only at sixth grade level. But if you even go back and forth, you can see that this kiddo that's also on from second grade, third grade levels. So as sixth grade, they're still trying to teach sixth grade TEKS, but they're also having to work with students who are missing things from third and fourth grade. So this has been a definite helpful, and it also has, we have our counselors working with the students after school too. So they use IXLs. I know you mentioned earlier about what are the teachers using for tutorials. This has helped them with those recommended skills. So like with my counselors help them, they know exactly what to work with the students. The third page that you have is just a snapshot of one of the teachers' dashboards. And the reason that I included this, because they are working extremely hard on new TEKS. But this is, for example, Ms. Zamora's dashboard. And it just normally would include all the single kids on level below it. So this is just the front page of it, and that's why I developed student names. But the bar you see at the top of all the little dash line looks like a UPC code. So this basically, this is real time. This was pulled today. So this isn't the beginning of the year. You can see the cluster that she has. The darkest cluster is right around 400. So real diagnostic time, the majority of her kids, overall math is sitting at a fourth grade level. So these are the things that we're focusing on, that they're working with, and I think we were talking before, is like the after effects of what we had to deal with before. So they're working on, I think they're doing a really darn good job of teaching sixth grade material, but still trying to close in the gaps of where they're missing it from before. So.
What do the three-letter codes mean after the recommended skill?
It's part of the program. I don't know that, that part of it.
Okay, that is the recommended skill a link to where they can click on
Yes,
it?
these are,
Questions or-
these are all interactive, so like for the students on, they can click on that, it goes directly to that link. And there's also videos that also are with these particular skills as well too.
I can answer what those particular codes mean.
Thank you.
Each of the, in IXL, you're able to assign the students particular skills, and the skills are all broken up into sections, and each of the sections are assigned a letter of the alphabet first, and then it's broken into numerically, like, so like this one, algebraic thinking, it's gonna be in section A, and that particular skill is number 98. So it's very specific.
Okay, and then it has resources for you to help make that skill build in there?
Yes. Specific questions that will target that.
That's awesome.
And even within those questions, there's different skill levels. So there's like, beginner level up like typically 4 or 5 levels within that. So it's pretty good resource.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question, because I love this, and now you guys too, because, I mean, if you just look at where you were at on CBA 1 and then 6, it shows an increase, but obviously, I mean, if we snapshotted it at 4, you would have tripled your goal, right? So to Mrs. Flores's data, that 2 data points doesn't show me that your kids are not learning or even going backwards. It's just 2 separate CBAs. So I love this, and
There's that little trend line in there
Yeah.
that shows that overall the trend is going
yeah.
up.
My question is the semester exam inclusive of CBAs 1 through 5? Did y'all enjoy the semester exam? 'Cause I
It's
heard
not
a lot of
cumulative.
questions about it. It's
It's not cumulative, it's what they're working on at the time with spiral back questions.
okay.
So it was, the length of the CBA, but a little bit longer, so it was like CBA on steroids.
With spiral curriculum, and the
Yeah.
spiral curriculum is from previously taught, so
Yes.
maybe another 6 weeks.
Is that how it, and this may be a question, is that how it is at all semester exams? I know they start in
That was our
sixth grade, but is
first-
that how it is in high school as well?
This is a new concept for them, but I would want Ms. Mosher forward, unless Mr. Council wants to comment on it, to talk about CBAs at high school.
Or just
Or
semester exams?
semester exams, I should
Is
say.
it the same across the board starting when semester exams start?
No, semester exams at the high school are cumulative based on that, but this, we asked them to institute this, and so I think that there's steps, we'll get there eventually. We didn't want to just have a heart attack.
They'd already sent them over the edge to have a semester exam.
My kids came home and said, Dad, why do we have semester exams that we never had before? And I was like, whoa, how do you even know that? They're like, well, the teacher said to ask school board members. So it's new and it caused a ripple, we'll say that. I'm asking you what your opinion are, you like it, semester exam?
It was different,
Yeah.
I mean, it's for the staff as well too, because, it's one of those things that they haven't had to do before.
Right.
And what is it gonna look like? So we were getting our feet wet, so it's like, okay, it's CPA at the time, and then it added 5 or 5 questions into what they've been doing throughout the semester. I mean, our benchmark for us is not till next week and the week after, so. And that's cumulative from the beginning of the week, that's a really start, that's it.
But that also covers things that they haven't covered, correct?
Yeah.
Because it's a release start.
With our benchmark, we put it at this time of the year, so they should have been taught, but they need to use that benchmark will be our true data point for us. And then when we're done with that, we disaggregate the data, and then we've got our 15-day start list before our first round of start.
Okay.
So we didn't want to have them take a benchmark, we already had the interims that cover material that they haven't taught.
Right.
This benchmark for us, for it to be true data for us to use, wanted to be what, we've taught everything on it, this is our benchmark, this is our true data.
And the interim, just for clarification, is the test last year that TEA told us we have to take. Is that correct?
They highly suggest it. With
a stick in their hand, with a stick in their hand.
Yes, I received phone calls that said, I'm just saying.
Yeah, so, and that's what it does it give our teachers information that they need to move forward for instruction?
That's one of the things that, you know, is a little frustrating with it, is because it does not give the level of data that you get from CBAs or anything else. In the format that the data is presented through the Cambium system is nowhere near the level, like it doesn't isolate, you know, it just doesn't granular enough. There is some usefulness, and it'll give like a prediction based on the students' scoring of how they will do on STAR, but
if you haven't taught all that material, that proves that prediction, and then on the reading part of it, you don't have the writing component to it.
Okay.
So what true prediction is it?
Well, the kids know that it's.
And if you know that, because the
Right,
first
well,
15 questions are all the
doesn't
same,
matter.
and then depending on how they do in the first 15, then it deviates to where, okay, you're going up or you're going down, so.
Okay. Are there any other questions for? Becky?
And I know with our community engagement information too, I know the week before spring break is our parent engagement week that we have. So Tuesday night, we're planning the STAR night, so parents can come see, talk to every teacher in the content areas for information on STAR. Book fairs that week, so we'll have a book fair open that night. We're doing a 7th grade science fair. So on that Friday, we encourage you to come out and see all the science projects. They're going to be judged that Thursday night, and then have lunch with the kids on Friday, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also thank you for your. The test also got pushed up, if you didn't have enough already with the state assessment, now it comes sooner. And so, thank you for your effort. I know that's an added constraint, and you guys are certainly putting the effort to do well.
Yeah, congratulations to the junior high staff.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Thank you all. We appreciate you.
So they mentioned some community engagement opportunities, and so, you know, Chris and Dr. Mack could help you formulate a way to get in front of the parents of these opportunities. So that's definitely something to think about. And I would just like to say that I've been involved in Lone Star government for 7 years. And I have never seen a meeting like this. This is absolutely the best example of data presentation by the principals and the questions by the board. This is what we're trying to get our board members to do across the region that are doing Lone Star governments. And I like I said, I just wish I had video, and I could just go show it.
You do, I need
I may need to get it, I may need to get it and share it with our folks at TEA. As far as like coaching, LSU coaching, keep up the great work. You guys are doing awesome. And I think it's your leadership is gonna make it. It already has, and you keep up the good work, and I think you can see continued success and continued opportunities.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. All right, moving along to our reports.
Yes, we're excited. Mr. Brooks is here to tell us this, for all of you, this was a major initiative. We had communities and schools here. And then the conversation became, we really wanted to bring in the folks that were plugged into the community and also met our families where they are and made families feel comfortable and welcome into our environments. And before things kick off, I want to thank you, Mr. Brooks. We had a real difficult situation with a student. I won't go into details, but we said this new approach is getting to the root cause. It's not about the punitive piece of, well, let's just slap them with a ruler or whatever. No, it's get to the root cause of what's causing the problems. And I know that you provided, I'll just say, some support services and ensuring Texarkana was involved with this particular case. Thank you for that, because everyone around the table said, this doesn't make sense. And then so we had a group of people around there, and I got to tell you, I may have been the one that said, call Mr. Brooks, because I know of your passion. And thank you for that, because that was absolutely resolved. And I know it's confidential, but at the same time, that's what we're here. So thank you for your follow-up on that. I really appreciate it.
And thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here standing for the school board at BCISD, right in the place that I grew up and love so dear. As we get ready to go through these numbers, I will like to bring to your attention that when we compare last year's attendance for the fall semester to this year's attendance for the fall semester, we had quite a bit of turnover in the department of the liaisons. And that's just a testament to you guys and to those principles of having great teachers and great staff in place so that we can at least maintain some numbers of where we were when I came in on September 18th. So I'm really, really excited about where we're going to go. The team has learned so much about Bay City and how we can make it better. That's the whole goal, right? Is to get better each and every single day as we go through this. So the first slide, I'm just gonna go through the slides kind of quickly with respect to time, but I do want to point out a couple of things. The first slide is going to be with Bay City High School, and it's the student achievement. That is going to be Ms. Ortega. She is the parent liaison at Bay City High School. In the fall of 2022, fall of 2023, Bay City High School reported about 92.1% attendance. This past semester, 23-24, Bay City High School came in at 92.4. Keep in mind, again, Ms. Ortega joined us in about the middle of October, November, because we had some turnover going in right there. So that was an outstanding job by her to get that, to help keep those numbers up to where they are. And then you also have Ms. Ortega and myself in many different videos, and you'll see and you'll hear me continuously say engagement. You have us in some pictures there, engaging with families, engaging with our students, and letting them know the importance that they bring to Bay City ISD. So we want to thank Ms. Ortega for her hard work and her efforts. The second slide would be Bay City Junior High. Last year, in 22-23, it was at 93.3%. Currently, Bay City Junior High is reported at about 92.8%. Again, keep in mind that Bay City Junior High lost their parent liaison on about October, beginning of November. So there's a big commitment to Ms. Cummings, to Ms. Linda Estrada, to Ms. Sylvia Howard, to Ms. Perez. Her office staff has been tremendous at helping us keep that average up to where it currently is right now. So I do want to make sure I recognize them for their effort. On the last slide, I didn't talk about it, I'll talk about it here. We see the DEAP estimated average. There are some things that I think that are going into place that are going to help us get the DEAP average up so that 92.8% will rise up a lot higher than where it is when we go into the next school year. And then here we have some events that we attended at the junior high. Ms. Ortega, who just left, she had some presentations with family engagement on the campus. She had the SDL, the student, we had the language difference that Ms. Gomez come in and give us some support, and they interacted with our students that speak very little English, but we were able to get the translations over to them. In the top corner there, you see where we have some participation when we're out at a conference. They're getting some interaction, learning tools and things to be better with their parent engagement and parent involvement. So again, at the junior high right now, all of that credit goes to the staff that are there. Teachers have done an amazing job at making sure that our kids are getting the best education that they possibly can, as well as, like I said, Ms. Estrada has really been helpful with me in making sure the attendance is staying up to par. Next, we have Teeny Holmes, right? This is going to be Ms. Flores, and she works under Ms. Flores over at the high school as well. 22-23, Teeny Holmes came in at 93.8, and then right now, currently, we're sitting at 93.7. Right? Again, those numbers aren't blowing anyone out of the water. We definitely understand that. But there's that big learning curve, right? This is that first year that we're putting this program in place and everyone is getting a clear understanding of what is needed. And that Ms. Flores has done another tremendous job, not only with working with the attendants, but also with her engagement. She is all over the place, man. At high school events, taking pictures with the football players, pushing people in, on her parent involvement events on her campus. She sets up many different things, and every time I go into the building, I see students wanting to run up to her and just give her the biggest hug. And that's a testament to the true engagement work that Ms. Flores is doing over at Teeny Holmes. The next slide is going to be Arlene Roberts. Ms. Sierra joined us in about December. Okay, when she joined us in December, Lady Roberts was floating on the slide. We'll go there. The slide last year is going to be at 92.1%. This fall, we're sitting at 90.74%. Again, she joined us in December. We had the turnover going on. She got in here, she started learning. She's been working very diligently to work with our parents to get them into the building to participate in things, not only just participate in extracurricular things, but get into the building and support their child through the educational system, learning how to be better and more sufficient. And then I'll go back one right there too. Again, starting in December, we're asking for these pictures. She's in photos right there with families and children. And similarly to Ms. Flores, she has students that just want to gravitate to, right? It is that ultimate engagement that is going to allow us to do some of the wonderful things that Bay City is capable of doing. We're right there, we're right around the corner. And then last but not least, let's talk about Ms. Berciaga. She's our Cherry parent liaison. The numbers that we're turning in at Cherry are going to continuously rise, right, increase. She works diligently with her office staff. She works diligently with the admin team, but more importantly, she is making sure that every parent that walks into that building knows who she is, right? She will wave at them, and when they have their children there, she makes sure she stops and gives that child a hug. That again is the most important piece of engagement, is because we are showing our families that we do truly care more for your students than just telling them to go to class. There's a back to school bash, there's the family game night. Everything that Cherry has done, Ms. Berciaga has been there and has represented Cherry Elementary and Bay City ISD without hiccup. I mean, very, 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 very well. Then now we come to a quick overview of what the district is. The district liaison is an important role for family and kids. We give a real special thanks to Region 3. They have been super and supportive in allowing us to come to their facilities and giving us some training, giving us tips on how to continue to work with kids and how to engage our families a lot better. This group has made at least about 500 phone calls. Okay, we have conducted right at about 100 home visits. That is literally knocking on doors in some areas that might not be the most tightest, the cleanest place, right? But these ladies have joined me and knocked on doors to go in and talk to the parents about getting your students to school and helping them to understand the importance of being in school. If you're in class, your chances of you passing are a lot higher. If you're not in class, you're sitting at home, the chances of you being successful are a lot lower, right? So they have really taken it upon themselves to really get involved and engage, not involved with that. Not only that, you'll see there in the wall, we have a food pantry. This team has worked diligently to make sure that our students that are under the McKinney-Vento law, they're not hungry. They're not going through any other traumatic instances because of food, right? The parents and then their families are going through a whole lot of different stuff. A lot of dads are going away to prison, going away to hospital, people are dying. But this team has been there to let these children know we're here for you. That is the biggest thing that I love about these girls, these ladies, I'm sorry, I should say, is that they want these children to understand that they're important to them and they're important to Bay City, right? Unfortunately, but fortunately, sometimes the difficult conversations have to happen. I have to have that difficult conversation with the parents that just won't get on board and follow their leadership and get their children to school. So currently we have 8 referrals with Matagorda County for truancy charges. At this time, I don't know the court date. We'll see when that court date comes up. The hope is that's it. Because the buzz should start going around that we're not playing. The goal is for you to get your child to school. We want to work to get your child high school graduation eventually. But we can't do it if you're not going to make sure your child's coming to school and you're allowing them to stay at home. Okay? As a district liaison, we want you to understand the difference in involvement and engagement. Okay? Most of us have spouses, boyfriend, girlfriend, right? Had anyway. Okay? When I was dating my ex-wife, I'm divorced. When I was dating my ex-wife, I could say, hey girl, go hang with the guys, and she'd say, go ahead, it's not a problem, right? But when I put a ring on her finger, it became something more than just us dating, we're courting. We're engaged, we're committed to planning a future together. That's what I and this team is working to allow BCISD to do with the community of Bay City. We want them to know BCISD is going to engage with you. We want to plan your child's life, help you plan your child's life, so that they can be more successful than us. Back in 1988, 87, I believe it was, I got engaged with BCISD. Probably we held the cherish golden blue to our dear school will never be true. As the years go by, we'll place none above you. Bay City High, I will always love you. I replace high with ISD. Bay City ISD, I will always love you. And that's what this team is doing as well. They're letting Bay City ISD, we love you. So Bay City is best, and we want to do what we can to help them stay there. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Hats off to you and your team. I've been in Bay City for 7 years. This is the first time in 7 years that I can honestly say parent liaison and parent engagement team is a team, and I can put faces to the names, and you guys are all together. So thank you for that. And I look forward to working with you. I know an email was sent, and I just responded to it. So you have my cell phone number, and I love to be a watchdog there at junior high maybe next week after, and maybe you can hop in on campus and we can talk. So
love it.
Thank you for your work. Thank you for your work. It's making a difference. I know I'm on campuses and see you, and the kids run to you, and I know when I see you on campus, Mr. Brooke, they love it. You're building a relationship, and that's what it is. The relationship is the tie. So they may not love school, but if they love people at the school, they want to be there because they want to see you and your smiling face, and they want to feel that love. So thank you for what you're doing for our school and for our community. It does not go unnoticed.
And I would encourage you, I gotta say, this is my passion. Anyone who's with me knows that it's a passion of mine. Excuse my hyperbole, but we should wage war on the cycle of poverty. And generational poverty hurts everyone. And that's what you're doing. You're breaking the cycle. And I know that gets into going into those houses to where maybe they're not doing so well. And I remember last year, my first year here, hearing about a student who was found digging through a dumpster for food to take back to his baby sibling. And those are the things that you're intervening on. And those are the things worth doing. And it's the little things that up to the big things. And I'm somewhat of a data hound. And in addition to the breakdown of the campuses, I don't have a mouse in my pocket. You are making a difference here. We are leading on 80 average daily attendance refined in every 6 weeks so far. So let's stay undefeated. We'll get the data on the 4-6 weeks soon. But every single 6 weeks period, I'm going to double check. I'll correct myself. No. So far, every 6 weeks, we've outpaced last year. tremendous work. Keep it up. It's worth the effort, and we're so glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, you showed the pantry that y'all have, and I know that we have, I think, several different organizations that have clothing also. Is the McKinney Bento, do they have their own clothing? Do y'all tie in with other things?
We do have a clothing closet that we use, yes, sir, that we take donations. We also go out, Miss Elizabeth has been super supportive and going out and making, I'm sorry, Miss Danielle as well, and making sure that we have some new items to give as well. So everything that we give into the students are not just handing out, sometimes they're getting some brand new things. But any supports that you guys have for us, this team would love to distribute to our kids. And then you see this kid's face light up and give them certain things, you just know, right, you made an impact. I have a crazy saying that, but if I help one youth today, this world tomorrow's a better place. And I think this team is also grassroots, that they're just helping one, make sure we can help one today, so this world tomorrow's better.
Do we let them take, like, if they have a sibling, do they get to, can they take a size small shirt if they're an extra large, or can they do things like that?
If they have a sibling in school, or, well, typically, I'll be honest with you, typically, I'll tell them we're not going to let one kid do yours, right? I'll be honest with you.
No
We
question
don't.
asked. We do.
We're gonna get, I'll be honest with you, we're gonna get.
And we get,
Yeah, we're
so
gonna
we all
get.
coordinate.
Yeah, we won't have a kid walking out with their head down thinking, oh, they didn't give me anything, no,
Okay.
it's a kid.
Thank y'all so much.
Not
Oh,
only,
sorry.
y'all know, not only with doing his regular job here, going out and getting Mr. Brooks is also willing to work with our athletes from outside and help train them. I know, grab mine, so it ain't just, I mean, he's doing it all over, and your time is, I know, valuable to you, and you take that, and it is appreciated.
I think even helps coach volleyball.
Yes.
I mean, it's everywhere.
Pouring back.
Let's face it.
Pouring back into the community. Well, we truly appreciate you, and we appreciate you ladies. Thank y'all so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. Real quick, I know we have you next on the agenda. Oh no, board facilities. Are we doing that tonight? Before the annual report? So what?
Discussion, Scott's here to fill in the blanks on that, but just for you all to share with your fellow board members about some of the items, and then Scott is ready to elaborate as needed, just a little bit on the topics we covered during the board facilities committee.
One of the things that we kind of said move forward with is he got some quotes for either replacing the track at the junior high or just patching the track at the junior high, making it to where it's not gonna break an ankle or something on somebody. And since one of the issues that we have with that track is somebody drove a car in there to donuts, but we don't have a way to stop that. So we're like, we don't really want to spend $200,000 on replacing the track whenever we found out that we could patch it for $8,000. So we were like, yeah, let's patch it, let's get it safe again. And if we have got to do it again in a couple of years, then we can do it 10 times and still, be half the price of what the other one was.
Correct.
Is Key Ingram back in
Yeah,
business?
so would you give a quick update just on Key Ingram and where we are on that? It's about to.
Very close, final cleaning, a few fire alarm inspections and occupancy inspections, so it's got 4 rentals scheduled.
That's what we're trying to figure out what that looks like and when it truly will be open for business.
Lee is spearheading that, and she has told us rightfully so. We need an accurate date before we plan that event. So Scott and I have been put on notice. We need to be accurate. So absolutely, and one of the items that's up there that we haven't committed to in any way is that Region 3 would like for us to host that student leadership program. I may have mentioned to some of you that Region 3 is going to make us a hub for that presentation on student leadership. And I told Mr. Lyons, Executive Director, that would be a great event if we can push that back far enough for planning to not only showcase the grand opening for some of our stakeholders, but to entertain As someone on staff said, also entertain teachers from other districts that will come with them. So we're all about recruiting in every possible way, so we'll keep you posted on that one. So that's going to be a big posting event for us.
One other thing that was discussed was some sort of something added to city homes for playground purposes for the older students. So we talked about that a little bit. Around some ideas. Nothing was made a decision, but it was brought to the table just to try to help our older students get back in this kind of place, playing size and field.
One of the things that has got done is they did have a completed facility audit.
Yes.
And it's all in this website that you can pull up, and it has everything on when it was installed and the lifespan of it. So for budgeting purposes, this audit is so detailed and so intensive. I mean, it was very eye-opening. He said I knew about a lot of it, some of it I didn't, you know, and that was pretty neat to see that. And that's all in that link to the town of workbook.
Yeah, I think everything else, Dr. Matthew touched on some of the stuff in our weekly newsletter. The only thing that we said yes, go forward with was repairing the junior high track. So.
And the facility committee or even Dr. Mack just take a look at it. The drive going into the high school, they're walking on the wet grass to the crossing guards, and I think, you know, sidewalks there might be.
Oh, up at this line.
Yep. So
I already have a bid.
You
I
do?
have a bid.
Okay, and I brought it up before, so I didn't remember if anything got done with it, but yeah, awesome, thanks.
And would you mind, Scott, just, I know you talked to the facilities, we have that audit, we have the dashboard, but you talked about now, I guess, prioritizing and that sort of next steps, maybe you could share that.
Yes, especially going to budget season. On the dashboard, if y'all do log into it, it's pretty simple, red, yellow, green, red being items that they recommend doing ASAP. So I'll be filtering through all that and making my recommendations, especially when we start talking budget.
Any questions from facility committee on that? All right, real quick, Mr. Townsend, can we backpedal? We did not approve the LSU report, so can we please have a motion to approve LSU?
I make a motion to approve LSU.
All right, is there a second to the motion? All right, we have a first and second. Any further questions about LSU? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion passes 6-0. All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Hello, Mr. Townsend.
Hello.
Moving on to our next agenda item is our annual report for public hearing on our taper report.
Well, actually, the annual report is a report after all the dust settles on numerous negative points. And so the taper is part of that. We do wait traditionally till the taper is out. Of course, that's not until after Christmas. So with the annual report, there are several sections to that, and that just outlines those sources. And really, the report is just to inform the public and you of the data sources and how to find them. And so as we go through the presentation, which will be brief, I linked in those sources, and then I will post this, or Lee will because I'm handicapped, on the website. And so anybody can access it and access those links and the data sources and investigate. So the 8 sections to the district annual report are, the first one is the taper, and then the Beams financial standard report, and then district accreditation, and then our campus performance objectives, which is our CIPs and DIPs, which we presented to you at the beginning of the year, a report on violent or criminal incidents on campuses, and then student performance in post-secondary institutions, which is basically how are our past graduates doing in college, and that is lagging data back to 2021. And then also our progress towards board evaluation 3 goals, which you guys receive information on every single month. And then at the very end is the most helpful piece for the taper report. It's the taper glossary. And there's a link to that on the very last slide, or second to last slide. You've looked at the paper before, and as you go through those sections, sometimes it's hard to understand exactly what that data point is. And this is clear. If I understand it, you will understand. It's very helpful. The very first section is the taper report, and I've linked in the ISD taper report. And then the next one is a report having all of the campuses all in one report sequentially. So you don't have to pull those reports separately by campus. And then when you go into that, normally on the cover page, which you see a little snippet over here to the right, kind of the screenshot, you would have designations and other accreditation, all of those things, and what our rating was. That's not there obviously because accountability is on board. So for all the districts, all you'll see is their name and their campus number.
But I think in the past, they'll kind of like tell like, oh, this is kind of where we would fall. Do we have any idea? Or maybe I'm thinking right, but I thought we could
There was, they sent out what was the term?
The estimator?
Yeah.
Estimator, right, which you guys were kind of providing that at the beginning of the year, from last year's data, what if?
Yeah, what if, I can repost that too,
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah. So it's using this year's accountability calculations with last year's scores, and what would it have been if they used that rate?
Right, so we're on hold, but we're still using the old system.
Yes. And so in the table report, there are several sections, of course, STAR, student performance, the academic growth, bilingual, our ED student performance, and then the STAR participation on the test, and then attendance, graduation, and dropout, graduation, CCMR, and other indicators tied to that. And you'll need that paper glossary when you get a little bit deeper in there to understand some of those things. And then post-secondary indicators, student information, staff information, and program information. And so what I did was I just gave you a snippet on each one of the slides of the different sections of the paper, so that as you begin to go through that, you'll be able to recognize what section you're in. And I just did a little circle right here. So when you get into the STAR performance, you'll know that you're in that section right there because it's listed at the top. And then when you go to the next section, progress, which is your academic growth, you'll see that there. And then you'll have your bilingual education, how they perform on the STAR. And then you'll have the participation rate of the students that tested, what % of our students tested. And then you'll have your attendance, graduation, and dropout rates. You'll also have your CCMR indicators. And then the last three sections of the paper are the student information, demographics, populations, and then also staff information. You'll find years of service, experience, things of that nature. And then also the program information. We talk about special education, virgin bilingual, things of that nature. That's the end of the taper, and then the next section of the annual report is the PMC Manager Standards Reports. And like I said, you can click on these links, and it will open up, and it will take you to all the information for the district, and then also you can do the same thing for the campuses. And then the district accreditation status has been and remains accredited. You can use that last link on there to access the accreditation page, and you can look at any district or student accreditation that is up to date there. And then our campus improvement plans, which you approved and saw in, I believe it was August this year. You can click this and it'll take you right to, it's posted on our website this year and past years in English and in Spanish, along with the district one as well. And then report on violent criminal incidents. I do want to talk about this piece just a minute, because when you do pull up the report, you will see that the information is masked. Anytime you have incidents that are fewer than 5 in FERPA, you may be able to identify the students that were involved. So that information is masked. So I indicated that with asterisks. Okay. One of the things that I wanted to point out with that is that last year we had none at all. And this year, there's really no level of concern. What I wanted to tell you is that you have to have 1%, at least 1% of your population, that many incidents reported each year for 3 years in order for it to be considered an issue. So right now, where we stand, we're 0.0008 before you even get to 1%. We would have to have what our current population is 35 incidents per year, 3 years in a row for that to trigger anything that would be So I just wanted to help you with that, because when you look at that, it may be. And then the post-secondary institutions, how our students that have graduated are doing in college. And I gave you a link to the actual website so that you can pull data. This is lagging data. It only goes through 2021. But what I did was, you can surf through that website and try to find it, but I did give you just a screenshot on that last link of what ours was, so that you can take a look at it. It's easy to find. At the bottom, you can see that in 2021, we had 223 graduates. 130 were not found by the institution, 9 not trackable, 2 were in independent colleges, so they had no data on them. And the 2-year public colleges, go across, that shows how our students fared in the GPAs. And then also our 4-year, same thing, 34, and then they're tracking how they fared with their 4-year university and GPAs. In the section 7 is our progress towards board goals. You guys see that every month, and so I just did a little PDF screenshot where it was last month. But that's something that is reported on each month. And then there's the tape glossary that I talked about. It's very useful. And then at the very end, contact me with any questions. That's the great report. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, I appreciate it.
So this is just a public hearing.
Hearing.
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving on to our consent agenda. Is there anything that anybody would like to remove from the consent agenda? All right, hearing that, is there a motion to be made?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, here, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second to the motion? We have a first and a second. Any conversation, questions about consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, moving on to executive session. We're going to convene into closed session under personnel matters. If necessary, may be taken into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074 to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, resignation, or dismissal of the public officer or employee, including contract recommendations for campus and district level employees, administrators and teachers. 2, deliberation regarding superintendent's evaluation, Texas Government Code 551.074. 3, consider and take possible action, which is not going to happen in closed session. 4, deliberate regarding proposal of the donation of real property located at 1200 Whitson Bay City, Texas, formerly known as William Roberts Elementary School. The legal description is Whitson S/D Lot 6, Matagorda County Appraisal District ID 49018 on 11.1 acres property pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.072. We will move into closed session at 8:03. Scott, where is that paper? Do you have a paper?
It's actually.
Did you put it in board book?
No, we're gonna say.
Can we just borrow your phone for a second?
We're gonna send it to you.
We want to. So discuss and consider approval of hire of contractual personnel. Is there a motion to be made?
Thank you, motion to approve.
All right, is there a second to the motion?
Okay.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any conversation, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Consider and take possible action regarding superintendent's contract. Is there a motion to be made?
Make a motion to approve superintendent's contract as discussed in the executive session.
All right, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second to the motion? All right, we have a first and second. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Number 3, discuss, consider, and take possible action regarding proposal for the donation of real property located at 1200 Whitson, Bay City, Texas, formerly the Lenny Roberts Elementary School. Legal description: Whitson SD Lot 6, Matagorda County Appraisal District, property ID 49018 on 11.1 acres property. Is there a motion to be made?
I move that the board reject all proposals for donation of real property located at 1200 Whitson, Bay City, Texas, formerly the Lenny Roberts Elementary School. Legal description: Whitson SD Lot 6, Matagorda County Appraisal District, property ID 49018 on 11.1 acres.
All right, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second to the motion? All right, we have a first and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, last item of business, discuss and consider approval of the superintendent's 2024 action plan. Dr. Maskey, you have anything you want to add to that briefly?
I just wanted to say we through the evaluation process, we covered a great bit. I didn't receive any questions, so I'm assuming we're good.
All right, is there a motion to be made?
I make a motion to approve the superintendent's 2024-2025 action plan.
Awesome. Is there a second to the motion? All right, we have a first and a second. Any questions, comments? I'd like to tell you, thank you so much for the work that you do. It is truly a gift. You're a blessing to this district, and we are thankful for you. Anything else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, last item is adjournment. Is there a motion to be made?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second? Is there a motion?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
We second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. We will adjourn this meeting at 9:45.